This excerpt was taken from the Full and Bloom interview with guitarist Marc Ferrari. You can listen to the entire interview at fullandbloom.com. Back to the Right to Rock. Are there any standout moments when you reflect on those sessions nowadays?
Well, I remember Eddie Van Halen came down to one of our sessions. That was certainly a day, and that started a friendship that continues to this day. I distinctly remember when he came down to the studio because I was recording at the time. And I think I may have told
No pressure there, right?
Yeah, no pressure there. But he made me feel right at home, and I don't know if I continued the session until after he left, but it was a little intimidating meeting him for the first time, of course. I think any guitar player would be intimidated meeting him, but he's a super sweet guy. He's really a nice, a nice guy, super sweet guy, very unassuming. And as I mentioned, we continue a friendship today. We're both car guys, and we've driven together a couple times.
Did you ever buy a Ferrari?
I'm on my second one.
Are you really?
Mm-hmm.
Which ones did you buy?
My first one was a 430 Scuderia, which is the track-focused version of the 430. For the last 5 or 6 models, Ferrari has done a version that's focused for the track, where they would take the car and they would modify it so it would be track ready. And that typically means taking anything out of the car that has weight that doesn't need to be there. In the Scuderia's case, there's no carpeting, there's no insulation in there, no radio. It has different engine mapping, a different exhaust system. It sits lower. There's more torque. There's more horsepower. It's really quite different than the standard 430. That's a very loud, angry, aggressive, growly car. So I had that one for 6 years. I drove it. I bought it with 1,000 miles. I sold it with 23. I drove it every week. At least try to fire it up and take it down the freeway a little bit. But I wasn't afraid to put the miles on. When I bought that car, it had 1,000 miles after 4 years. So obviously nobody drove that car. And now I have a 458, which is the model that replaced the 430 with the 458 Italia. That's what I'm driving now.
Very nice. What year is that?
That one's a 2012. Bought it with semi-low miles on it. I bought it in 2018. It was 6 years old. I had 9,000 miles on it. So that one was driven obviously a little bit more, but pretty gently, averaging 1,500 miles a year. But I put on about 5,000 miles a year on my cars. So, again, I'm not afraid to drive them. They were built to be driven.
Yeah, you kind of have to drive them to keep them in shape, don't you?
Absolutely. If you don't drive them, then you got, stuff, seals wear out, and start getting issues, start getting issues with the cars when it's not used. So shouldn't be afraid of a high-mileage car as long as it's been maintained properly.
Eddie Van Halen, I'm assuming he came in because of the Gene Simmons connection. Is that why he came down to the studio?
Yeah. He was friends with Gene. I think a lot of folks probably know the story with Gene producing some of the early Van Halen demos and shopping them around. So yeah, they had a close friendship, and that's absolutely how Eddie Van Halen wound up at our session.
Anything else to that story? Anything you remember talking about or anything like that?
No, I think we probably just chit-chatted. Again, probably just general stuff. Back then, I don't remember specifically our conversation, but that happened in late 84, I guess it was. And then in 86, we actually wound up opening for Van Halen at the Texxas Jam. We were the first. We like to say we headlined the show and we let Van Halen close, but it wasn't quite like that. We were the second band on the bill that day, and I'm sure that Ed had something to do with that, or at least lobbied for us, or Gene may have called Ed and, hey, make sure these guys are on the bill, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I was at that show. Was that with Dio and Crocus, and were they also on that bill, or?
Yeah, BTO, Loverboy, Crocus, Dio, and Van Halen.